Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue Uchiha. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also stay tuned, I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was Given Abilities by 4 Devils on this channel. So stay tuned for that and I do hope that you guys enjoy. And I'm also going to be posting 2 new episodes over on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. Yes guys, I have 3 channels. Links will be down in the description for you guys to enjoy each and every one of them. So go over there and check them out and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping and support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, the reason why Minato was bringing up the hidden stone and the children, what Naruto did in the past, as Naruto was spying on a group of refugees, as they were going to be used as explosives. They were already filled with explosive inside of them. Yes, explosive tags by the stone shinobis to blow up Kiri. And the Kiri ninjas will take in the refugees. And they were going to destroy the village. But Naruto ended all of the soldiers from where he was, as he used his specs and took them out one by one, quickly and fast, as he protected the kids. Minato was the supreme commander back then, as Hiruzen was still the Hokage. Minato was pissed at Naruto, saying that he went behind orders, given that he saved stone shinobis. But they were just kids. They were not even shinobis, as Naruto was angry about that, and he didn't really care what Minato think. Naruto made his way as he came upon Yujeo. The both of them had been friends ever since they were younger, as she asked him for a spar. As he sparred with her, his moves were vicious and quick. She stood no chance as he pinned her to the ground as he asked her how long she's been lying to him. As she ended up breaking and telling him that they were just worried. She was along with Minato as well, thinking that he was crazy. Naruto had enough as he told her to basically screw off as he made his way. He took Itachi as he was leaving the village, but he was stopped at the gate as he told Katetsu to give him back his passports. Him and Itachi, but the two guys looked at him. Anvus then came down, as Naruto dared one of them to do anything. He was pleading for them to try. He knew that his action was going to cause problems later, but he dared one of them to try and touch him. Yamato knew better as he simply backed off. After all, when Blue got angry, he was basically a monster, so they backed off. With that, he took Itachi and he left the village, as he went to visit an old friend. As Itachi asked him about the Mangekyo Sharingan, as Naruto told him how he got it, his friend Iruka had been killed, and his eyes had activated. Naruto had a very powerful ability, where he can break his opponent's mind, put them into a state of frozen, as they will feel agonizing pain. They were living, but at the same time, they were basically not living, but they were feeling every single thing. They made their way towards Orochimaru, who was Naruto's biological mother. Yes, after all, Naruto and Mikoto didn't have the same mother. We then went into a flashback about how he found out that she was his mother. As Naruto was quite down, he was currently 8 years old. Him and Yujiro was supposed to head off towards Kumo, as they were going to be helping the supporting force there in the war. Even though they were 8 years old, they were advanced for their age, and they would be taught by the Jonin senseis that were there, so it wasn't anything bad. But Naruto had confessed to Kushina before he went away, as he always liked her. She was his sister's best friend, Kushina Uzumaki, but she wanted to stay friends with him because she already liked someone else, a guy named Minato, as he was speaking to Orochimaru, telling her everything, as he didn't know where to sleep tonight because his sister was having a sleepover with Kushina. As Orochimaru told him that she, could sleep at her friend's house in Navi, and he could have the house. He was quite surprised and confused by the gesture. Why would she be so kind to him? as she told him that he could call her Orochimaru or Orkai if he wanted. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So what is to be in this new episode? Call me Orochimaru or Orkai. Anything that you want really. Thanks, said Naruto. The courage that she had gathered up. As it, well, didn't allow her to say it. She wanted to tell him that she was his biological mother. But perhaps some other time. You can repay me some other time. Repay you? He asks, wary of her intentions. What exactly do you mean, he asks. Seeing the way he was guarded, she spoke. We can talk. I want to get to know you if you want. I'm a bit too young for you, lady, said Naruto, as he made to hand back her key. But she pushed his hand back. Not like that. It is nothing bad, honest. She placed her hand on her chest as she swore. Your promises don't mean much to me, but seeing that I'm currently homeless for the moment, I'll take you up on that offer, he said as he placed the key in his pocket. He then warned her, don't think I'll let my guard down, okay? I'll sleep with one eye open, so you know. Fine by me. I stay at the top on the Orion Hotel, room 33. There are some non-alcoholic drinks in the fridge, and you can order room service. Keep it on my tab. I don't mind the cost. Tonight's gonna be cold, so you can look in my wardrobe. I got spare blankets in there. And seeing that I won't be there tonight, the bed is all yours. He had to ask, why are you being so kind? Why are you helping me? Did Lord Hokage send you to gain my trust or something? Is it something like that, Orochimaru, he said. She was pleased to hear him using her name, but deep within her soul, she would have preferred. And she would have liked it better if he called her mom. No, Naruto, I honestly want to get to know you, she said, and I will never betray you. That is the first time the both of them met, even though she never revealed it to him that night that she was his mother. Back to the bar. What do you want me to do, she asks, as she placed down the glass of wine. You want me to doctor the documents, to call off a civilian on you. Or, perhaps, you want me to kill Minato, she said. She enjoyed the way the smaller Uchiha jerked when he heard that. You know, I can get it done for you, she said. Don't do anything, was his reply. Nothing? Yes, nothing. Are you sure, she asked. I'm sure. I just wanted to know who wasn't on my side and who wasn't. After all, Eugeo spoke on behalf of his closest friends. They thought that he was crazy as well. They won't turn me into what they think I am. Well, unless they force him. But sooner or later, his friends would do something rather regrettable. And they're gonna piss him off. And then he's gonna change. After all, when he gets angry, truly, really pissed off, he stopped being human. It's like he's a different kind of creature. Time skip. Wild boar? Itachi asks, as he looked down towards his uncle, as Naruto was attaching one of the makeshift launcher to his arm. We're hunting wild boar, Itachi said. As Naruto nodded, yep. Never killed a boar before, he asks. Well, I killed a rabbit before, said Itachi. A rabbit? He paused what he was doing and looking up at Itachi. Like, one rabbit? As Itachi nodded, Orochimaru, who was standing a few feet away, laughed. Naruto lowered his head as he went back to what he was doing, tinkering with the right arm launcher. By Itachi's age, Blue had already killed his first person, a Kumo shinobi who tried to kidnap his crush, Kushina Uzumaki. He didn't want to make it as standard for his nephew to live by if the boy had taken his first life yet. Well, not bad for a kid, he said. Itachi smirked proudly at that. I know, he said. Orochimaru, knowing better, wisely, did not make any comments on the matter. We'll be hunting for 2, maybe 3 boars. I'll be using crystal to bring them down. And you get up close to finish them, using this. As he handed the boy a tanto from a storage seal inside his backpack. What am I using this for then, Itachi asked as he looked towards a 4-arm launcher. He was afraid to touch it, or else it might go off or something. He tried to use his one-totem Sharingan to analyze the thing that his uncle placed on his arm, but what he saw under the metal was some complicated triggers and ticks that made his eyes just blurry. Foxes in this part of the country coming to steal a kill if you're not fast enough to snag it. He tapped the launcher on Itachi's hand. Clicks and mechanism going off. As Itachi looked at it. Now, listen carefully, said Naruto. He then went down in a quick explanation and what his launcher was. Not how it functioned, because Itachi was smart and all, but he wouldn't understand. His short to mid-range launcher that Itachi was wearing covers entire forearm. It had 4 nozzles, 2 primary nozzles and 2 outer nozzles. The primary nozzles were where the Senbon shot out of it at high speed contact. The outer nozzles were for other purposes, which Naruto didn't speak of. He turned Itachi's arm over, pointing at the leather wrist inside. Now this is where you reload. This launcher only allows 6 needles at a time, and the reload mechanism is 2 seconds. He looked up. Do you understand? Yeah, the launcher shoots fast, said Itachi. Exactly, said Naruto. As Naruto got off his knee, oh yeah, the kickback is pretty strong. So brace yourself before and after every shot. Clench your fist to fire, relax, tighten, grip again, and continue firing. Point, clench, and brace yourself. Got it, said Itachi. This was a really complex device, as Itachi could tell. Well, it really was, after all if it was not. Minato inventors would have created it a long time ago and replicated it. Orochimaru watched as her son sent Itachi out to find a wild boar. Itachi made his way calmly as he spotted a group of wild boar feasting on what looked like a rabbit. These boars had thick, grayish fur with beady yellow eyes, thick jaws that snapped at the flesh of the rabbit. Orochimaru watched as Blue pulled out crystal from his backpack. Itachi lowered himself down into the wet grass as the rain had fallen before. As he calmly watched the boars. You've been awfully quiet, Urukai, said Naruto. As he looked through the scope looking at Itachi, his mind quickly ran through the distance, the speed, the air current, and the weight of the grass. The wet grass, how much grass has to go through to meet a target. His mind was calculating fast. The distance wasn't so far that he needed his dojutsu. As he fired twice, 2 boars got hit as the others quickly rushed off for self-preservation. As he refocused his eyes on his nephew, he had to activate his first stage of a Sharingan to see through the foliage to watch Itachi. As Itachi swiped down with his Tanto for the final kill, pulling them out of their misery with a clean cut to the neck. As Naruto hummed, as he placed down his launcher, there was barely any sound, none at all when the needles were fired, and it was so fast, and he didn't even feel a recoil anymore. He smiled as Itachi started to jog the boars back by their tail through the wet soil. He was struggling, and rightfully so, but Naruto allowed him to figure it out by himself. He didn't even warn Itachi of the foxes sneaking from his right and left sides to take the boars away. Anything on your mind, Naruto asked. Orochimaru tapped her cheek with her finger. I'm just wondering what you're up to, she said. What do you mean, said Naruto as he looked back through the scope. He quickly took down 3 foxes, as there was a group of them trying to take Itachi out. Itachi had placed on the boars and he was handling them with a launcher and his Tanto. It was tough because the foxes were using the grass to hide and trying to ambush Itachi. He popped out the empty cartridge and placed it with a full pack, as he placed the old cartridge back in his backpack to be refilled for later use. Itachi had everything under control, so he was not in a rush to aid him at the moment. Orochimaru coughed into her fists. I mean, what are you gonna do when you get back to Konoha? Well, said Blue, as a fox leaped towards Itachi, but he sliced it right in half with a Tanto. As he elbowed the next one into its face, broking the fox's nose as it jumped towards him. As he turned and fired the forearm launcher, impaling one of them right through the skull. As Naruto hummed as he was impressed. Oh, it's quite simple, said Naruto, answering his mother's question. When I get back, I'm going to grill one of those boars. Don't worry, I'll send you some. I'm not joking, she said. That fort, managed to convince your friends, she air quoted, in a sarcastic tone, that you're unstable. To be honest, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Minato managed to convince him that I'm shakily insane. I don't know what else he convinced him, compelling him to think about me. Orochimaru shook her head, and all to get his hands on your device. That, and my accountant at the Iron, said that Minato is trying to buy into a solar-based engine company based in the sun, which I have 75% of that company. The others that own the other part of the country do not want to sell, because clean, solar engine, it will be revolutionized, and they want their name to be a part of history. Minato want to buy the whole joint, because even I see it, the place is gonna be raking in millions in the next couple of years. More money than any other company on the other side of the continent. How does he get the solar engine company? If you keep saying that you're crazy, didn't you say that no one knows that you're rich? There are only 9 people on the continent that have enough net worth value to be known as billionaires, and 8 of them are known. She nodded as she understood what he was trying to say. Minato and maybe Kushina are probably the only outsiders that know that I'm pretty wealthy, and seem that I own 75% of that company. And the fact that I'm a silent partner, Minato could keep on calling me crazy, try to prove that I'm crazy, try to reveal my identity to the rest of the company, to make them not wanting to do anything with me, and to give me back all of my money, for him to invest and try to get his, well, money all around. That weasel, Orochimaru said. Rightfully so, because she was right. Naruto Iron Accountant had scouted out the company early, really early, so early in fact, that at the time 1% of the company cost simply 10,000 Ryu, quite cheap. The company needed money to conduct research, but at the moment the people never saw the value of solar energy, so no one really invested that much. Naruto Accountant convinced the company holder to make Naruto have 75%. Given the fact that he was going to be a silent partner, it would, well, help the man a lot, because he would get the funds, and not to mention he would still look like he was in charge, despite Naruto having 75%, because Naruto was a silent partner. As Naruto left the development in the founder's hand, his role was to keep the money flowing, and in return he would get his investment back, and a 75% increase. Their ultimate plan was to develop and start to sell solar seals across the continent by next year at a reasonable, affordable price. The company was rising, so much so that the 4th Kazekage, Raza, had taken personal interest in them. But right now at the moment, 1% of the company, well, it's a million Ryu. Minato was one of those people who didn't want anything to do with it at first, but he saw the profit later on. The other investors held on to their investment with tight fists, unrelented, and they were unwilling to sell. At the moment it was too late to invest, but Minato was always trying to multiply his billions. As Naruto glanced towards his mother, you're right though, he wanted the schematics and layout of my weapon here. He wants to put this weapon in the hands of every single Leaf Shinobi. If that was happening today, I would assure you, I could get my hands on one of them by tomorrow, said Orochimaru. She could name from top of her head, counts the members who would be willing to sell the blueprints for Naruto design to her. The Hidden Leaf corruption ran deep, far too deep. Minato could also knew about the deep corruption that the council elders were, well, having, but he would simply turn his eye away from it. That, or he thought he had it under control. But the truth was Konoha wasn't innocent at all. Naruto might have loved his village, but they were the last people he would trust with his design. I also want to prepare Itachi for the road ahead, in case something were to happen to me. His mother pinched the bridge of her nose and breathed out. Don't talk like that, she said. I'm serious, he says. He moved towards her and placed a hand on her shoulder. I got a bad feeling in my gut. Something's gonna happen to me. And I want to make sure Itachi is in a good place, combat-wise. If whatever happened, happens. If it is death, so it is. He had a trust fund opened for his nephew the other day, few moments after he arrived to meet his mother. He relayed this information to his Iron Accountant. He didn't open it in Fire Country because it's likely that Minato would find out and exploit it somehow. He was also giving Itachi space to develop in his own way as a ninja, whether he followed in his footsteps and wanted to become a sniper, or he followed on his fixation when it comes to Genjutsu and become a Genjutsu master. I don't like all these talks of something bad happening to you, Naruto, said Orochimaru. And nothing's gonna happen to you. Not on my watch, she said. She wasn't gonna argue with him on her place in his future plans. She wasn't in need of money. People rather ally with her than be up against her. She wasn't worried about the way he lived, but she wasn't happy to hear him speak about his demise like that. She placed both hands on his face. I will not let anything happen to you, Naruto, she said. He smiled warmly as he pulled her in for a hug, placed a kiss on top of her head. I love you too, Arkai, he said. As she hugged back her son, she knew that she was being too protective of him. He was a Takabitsu Jonin because of his specialty. He had the Mangita Sharingan. He was a master of long-range combat, and he was quite deadly in close range as well. If there was anyone she shouldn't worry about, it was Blue. The man had proven time and time again that he was a respected and capable shinobi amongst Konoha and Konoha allies. The thing was, as a mother, she didn't want to think about her child dying. She loved her son. She loved him more than anything in the world. Reconnecting with him all those years ago had opened the floodgates of emotion she never thought she would experience. She was worried about those feelings, fearing that she was getting soft, and her child was making her lose herself, but those were some of the best feelings she ever felt. After all, she didn't quite approve of the way his father had raised him. Flashback. A hard-faced Mikoto pinned Naruto down by his arms as he bared his teeth at her defiantly. Their father stood over them, his arms crossed, with a frown on his face. His cold eyes watched as his son and his daughter battled with their Sharingan, one black, one blue. Two of them had two Tomo, with him being pinned under Mikoto. It was hard for him to fend off her illusion attacks. "Where are your launchers now, Blue?" she said as her eyes spin, trying to force her will on him. "Where are they now?" He spat right at her as she punched him in the face. Their father didn't stop her from continuing the physical onslaught as she punched him in the face. At the moment, he was only 6 years old. Orochimaru detested his upbringing, and yet he didn't grow up to be a hateful, resentful person. Somehow, in the flashback, talking to him and getting to know him, despite the war going on back then, it made her happy. In all her life, she never knew she could feel love for anyone other than herself. She didn't know that she could feel worry, these kind of emotions for another well-being. She didn't care about her human experiments. But yet still, her worry about Blue was something completely different. It was a love that a mother had for their child, as she remembered how it started back then. Flashback. She was 17, and she was currently at a party. Yes, she didn't want to go, but she was dragged there by Tsunade. Sakumo Hatake was hosting a party as they were hailing the end of the Second Great Shinobi War, as she was dressed in a casual, black, knee-length dress. No weapons on her except for a kunai snatch in each sole of her white sneakers. Tsunade had complained about her not having too many party clothes. She opted to lend her some of hers, but remember, she was not in doubt as her. Yes, Orochimaru was very self-conscious about her chest size. Jiraiya had once made fun of it, and let's just say she pumped him with so much toxin, he was twitching like fire for a very, very long time. At the moment, she was sipping down some sake by herself. As she looked towards the dance floor, Jiraiya was making a fool of himself in front of a nameless Hyuga woman. Tsunade burst out laughing. She must have had at least 20 bottles of sake already, as she was laughing at a joke that Dan had made. Naruto's father was at the party as well, as he was downing drink after drink. He was 10 years older than her, and he already had a child, a girl, with another Uchiha woman, his wife, who had run away from the village during the war, for reasons best known to them. As she was looking at him, Hamato Uchiha, his name was, he saw her looking at him, and his pride started to raise. A Sanin. He had gathered a Sanin attention, even though it was the word Sanin, but nonetheless, Orochimaru turned her head. He caught her looking at him. Well, he could pass for good looking and he looked fit, but he was nothing special in her opinion. The alcohol buzzed through her head, and the thumping of the music. She started to get lucid. The sake was imported from Grass Country, the strongest on the continent, as the 17-year-old genius should have checked the alcohol check before downing it. He staggered in her direction, and she took the cue to leave the table. As she went in the hall to get some fresh air, Hamato followed her out. She didn't seem too pleased that he had. He slurred a few messy pickup lines as he tried to trap her right against the wall. Her awareness was too dull for her to take much notice of what was going on. And with all the liquor and everything, it escalated as the both of them shared a kiss in the hall. It wasn't her first kiss. That went to Jenny back when she was 13. And it wasn't anything special, and she refrained from doing it again because it didn't felt exciting or anything. But it was her first time having sex. As, even though she was in a dizzy state, she did not want to do anything here. As she told him to take her to Tsunade's apartment, she didn't want to show him where she lived. He might have been drunker, but he made sure to leave an impression on her. The both of them had no protection at all. He left before sunrise next morning, much to her relief. She wanted to swear him to secrecy, and wanted to see if he was up for a repeat, sometime in the near future. When she next saw him, he pretended not to know her, and she hated him for it. Hamato didn't say it, but Orochimaru knew that it was Navi that he wanted to spend the night with. 3 weeks later, she started to show signs of being pregnant. That was crazy, because she could have sworn that she had her tubes die. Her first thought was get rid of the vile creature growing in her stomach, to get rid of the morning sickness, the swollen ankles, and the random dizziness. She was in the forest of death known for laboratories, ready, as she had something prepared to drink to get rid of it, but she stopped herself. At the time she did it, just despite Hamato. And another part of her mind think that she wanted to bear the child so he or she could inherit her work one day. As she kept up appearance, wearing baggy clothes to hide the fact that she was with child, and showing herself sometimes with genjutsus, and kept away from any excess missions. But what she couldn't hide was her behavior becoming rather, well, violent. She had to pull the Sanin card in the Hokage as she told him that she won't be taking missions for a while, as she stayed in her lab, continuing human experiments, sending letters and correspondence to Danzo, telling him to leave living human subjects nearby. She would pay him for his services. She had to make a blood clone, one that didn't have a child, to keep on her experiments when she was too far along, as her blood clone had went out. Well, to talk to people and show up appearances, while she stayed in the lab talking to the baby growing in her stomach, telling it about her adventures, her teammates and herself, and how her perfect goal was to obtain immortality, and to learn every jutsu imaginable. A handful of months since she had found out the gender of her child, the blood clone worked double time of buying clothing and toys for her boy child that she was about to have, doing it in secrecy. She went into early labor. Her heart broke when she found out she gave birth to a stillborn baby. That meant he had died. She was snapped from her thoughts when Itachi came walking out of the forest, as he left a trail of, well, fox bodies in his path. As Naruto placed her arm and turned, as he had his arm around his mother's shoulder. Well done. Want to take a bath first, or you want me to show you how to skin it? Skin it first, bath later, Itachi said. Alright, let's do this. Time skip. 1 mile away from Konoha, as soon as the eastern gate was visible, Blue and Itachi was surrounded by 20 Anvu operatives, as Blue tilted his head as he looked towards Dog, looking straight into the eye hole of the mass. I know how this goes, he said, as he bent down, and Itachi came off his back. As he looked at Itachi, go on. Blue? Uncle Blue. Yes, Uncle Blue, said Itachi, confused. Kat came forward as she grabbed Itachi by the shoulder. As she brought him back, she looked towards her friend, as she gave him signs with her hand. We will talk later, Blue. The captain of the Anvu looked towards Blue, weapons. You know I won't do that, right? Dog closed his hand and pulled it back. Read the mood, Naruto, he said. Itachi's eyes looked around at all the high-ranking Anvus, as they had all had his uncle surrounded. Uncle, as Naruto simply smiled, cutting him off. It's gonna be alright, kid. Dog reached and pulled out a kunai, 3-pronged kunai. Do we have to do this in front of him? In a flash, Minato appeared, standing right there. Is Hiyori blowing behind him, as he looked at Naruto directly. Itachi needs to be here. He has to know that this to be in the Hokage orders means consequences. Really now, said Blue as he scratched his cheek. Mob justice? Minato chuckled deeply. We're not so barbaric, Naruto. We? No. You probably. As the Anvu, some of them hand twitched, but Blue was calm. Really calm. Minato, laugh a bit. That is why I like you, Naruto. You're not afraid. Dare I say you're not as scared of anything. Blue shrugged as Minato walked forward, as he stopped at least 2 inches away from Naruto. You're also a lucky man, Naruto. A few more seconds I would have branded you as a missing ninja. Lucky me, said Naruto. Minato came closer. You really think there won't be any repercussions for you making a fool of me, he whispered, as his eyes darkened. As Naruto looked at him, raising an eyebrow. There are consequences to your actions. You even got him involved in this mess, he said, pointing towards Itachi. Shame on you, Naruto. Itachi was getting angry, as he didn't know why they were harassing his uncle like this. As he wanted to do something, but Naruto looked at him, as he gestured for him to calm down, which he did. Minato stepped back. Where did you go, he asked. Wild boar hunting in grass country. It helps clear my head. I'm not an idiot, Naruto. We both know. That's not all you did. Who did you meet? No one that should concern you. Is that so? Said Minato. Some hours ago, a team that I had stationed in Zieki Town went dark, and you just so happened to be going in that direction. Tell me, do you have any idea what happened to them? Blue simply shrugged. They could have gotten into trouble with any of the 3 Yakuzas in that town. You knew the risk of sending them there. Didn't you, Minato? He asked. Minato fist tightened in rage. It seems you don't know nothing about their whereabouts, he said. He coughed into his tight fist. I have acknowledged I've been too lenient with you. I will not be so forgiving now. Your insubordinations over and over. But unfortunately my wife won't be pleased if I just throw you into prison. A frown came on Naruto's face. Minato enjoyed it as soon as he said Kushina. So from this moment on, your traveling rights are revoked, and you are hereby placed under suspension from the ninja forces. You will not be allowed to be going on any kind of mission or given any function that relate to being a shinobi. As of this moment, until I say so, you are a civilian. You are not to use any of your launchers within Konoha without my say so. As he smirked, say goodbye to your ninja way, Naruto. Dog's posture did not change outwardly. Cat lowered her face a bit, but Blue did not show any outward reaction. But Naruto was angry, as Minato was trying to put his will on him. Something that everyone knew that he hated when people do, not to mention he spent so much years of his life, 16 years working on his schematics for his launchers, and this man, just because he wouldn't share to the village, just because he didn't feel like it. Minato knew what he was doing very well. He wanted Blue to get angry. He wanted Blue to strike him, to brand him as a criminal and have all his property seized. Naruto's fist was inside his pockets as they cracked, but yet his eyes became emotionless, showing no emotion outside. Naruto pulled his hand out of his pocket. In a burst of smoke, his headband appeared. I know what you're doing. I won't let you win, he said. You're a smart man, Naruto, Minato said, as he collected the headband. But Naruto did not release. He pulled Minato closer to him, as Naruto's lips were near his ears. Do not forget this, Namikaze, he said. Minato pulled back and yanked the forehead protector away. Not smart enough, I guess. Minato then turned as he looked at Itachi. Take a good look at him, kid. This is what happened when you're defying the Hokage orders. Failure. He faced Naruto again as Naruto's hair was over his eyes. He's a failure. Out of the 2 men in the Anvu circle, Itachi lost respect for one of them. And it was not his uncle at all. Never his uncle. It's a good thing you're going for therapy. But I have to agree with your sister. Admitting yourself into a psychiatric ward would be the best choice for you, to sort out that mad jumble of instability in your head. He chuckled as he saw the look on Naruto's face, surprised about Minato knowing about his therapy sessions. After all, only 2 people knew, his therapist and his sister, well, not counting him. The therapist would not tell a single soul. Yes, he was bound to a code, doctor-patient, if you will. Something like that, to be told to anyone else, could be only broken after a patient death. So the only person that was left was Mikoto. Be thankful Kushina has a soft spot for you, because I would have left you in Ibiki Marino hands. I don't see why she's fond of you, but she is. Make sure you thank her properly at the get-together, okay? As he turned his back, his cloak brushing against Naruto's side. As he vanished, the Anvus moved, leaving only 2, dog and cat, as they stood behind Itachi. Blue, I'll talk to you later, kid, said Naruto. He knew that Mikoto and, Fukaku would scrap their wedding anniversary and rush back to the village. He spoke. Tell your mom I said hi. Cat knew that this wasn't the right time as she picked Itachi up, as both she and dog quickly headed off. Time skip the next day. It was 8:10 p.m. in the Whirlpool Mansion in Western District of Konoha. By the end of the 3rd Great Shinobi War, many Leaf Ninjas realized that they had seen their full of the front lines. Some of them retire. They were placed on passive duty, working as academy teachers or full-time gatekeepers. One of the people that stepped back was Kushina Uzumaki, a former Jonin Kunoichi, and the holder of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Her reason for this, despite being the favorite Jinjulki, she didn't feel like she held any other obligation to the village her grandmother Mito supposedly loved. Despite being married to the Hokage and moving into the Hokage mansion, she ended up buying a mansion near a short distance from the Nara compound. She did this because she enjoyed having her space far away from Minato. She felt stifled, and Minato didn't like that at all. But Kushina didn't really care as she did what she wanted. She did stay with her husband. She lived at the Hokage mansion, but she mostly went back to the Whirlpool mansion to have some celebrations, holiday parties, or small get-together. Blue hopped over the gate as the barrier sensed his chakra as he landed. The gate was about to open, but he did not bother as he was already inside. As he placed his right hand in his pocket, his other hand had a large blue cooler. As he walked towards the house, his eyes flickered towards the garden as he heard the party going on inside the music. There was a statue of a downsized nine-tailed fox. He heard Tatsumi Izuka laugh loudly. He was in a blue short-sleeve Uchiha clothing with the symbol of the Uchiha sign on the back, black long pants, bright red shoes, and a shade of red gloves on his hands. His shaggy, black blonde hair slicked back as he stepped up to the door of the mansion as he pressed the doorbell. The noise inside the house came at a stop. News spread fast, it seems. He could have sneaked in the house through the attic, a secret entrance that Kushina had showed him, but he refused to, feel shame. After all, he was put down to be a civilian, and they think that he was a Class A threat. He really didn't give a crap. Half a second later, the door was opened by a grinning Kushina. "Blue," she said. "Sup," he said. She quickly moved forward and hugged him as he patted her on the back. "It's been so long." She pulled back. "Have you been avoiding me?" she said. He chuckled as she was pouting. "Probably," he said. She wasn't surprised how honest he was being as she tapped him on the chin. "You owe me dinner, mister, as your apology." As she swept her eyes up and down, shamelessly ogling him. "You look good, Blue," she said. He took his time looking over her. She was dressed in a purple and white, with black trimmings, kimono, with low, shinobi sandals on her feet. Her red hair flowed down her shoulders. Her bright purple eyes illuminating the area. He coughed in his hand as he held up the cooler in his hand. "I made grilled boar. Hot pot," he said. Her eyes lit up as she took the cooler with both hands. "I wasn't sure if I was supposed to bring anything, so I..." She cracked it open, ignoring what he was saying, as she took a quick smell. "I miss this, Blue," she said. "You're cooking, I mean." As she sealed the cover back on the cooler. "What happened to us?" she said. "We used to be so close." He leaned forward, really close, as her lip trembled a bit as he got incredibly close. But he reached forward and poked her in the forehead. "You got married," he said. As he passed her, her face turned red as steam billowed from her ears in embarrassment. She ran back after him after closing the door as she punched him in the shoulder. "Tough luck," she said. She forced her heart to calm down upon how close he was. Her face stretched into a thin grin. "Well, I'm happily married," she said. "If you say so," he said. He didn't hide it that he liked her, as he made it very clear to her that he still had feelings for her whenever they met. Since all those years ago when he confessed, she knew how much he liked her, but he reduced contact with her over the years. He became distant. She would see him on the road, but when she turned the corner to catch up with him, he was gone. When she went over the Uchiha compound, he wasn't there. This had started after she showed him around her new mansion. 1 year and 10 months ago, a whole month after the Third Great Ninja War ended. She was happy about the house that she bought. Her friends disapproved, but he approved of it, so that she could have her own privacy away from her fiancé's house. She was so happy to hear that from him, as she gave him a spare key to the house and keyed him into the security seals. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision on her part, but it was one that she never regret. The next time she saw him was 5 months ago, at her wedding, as he had came there, and he gifted her husband with a new suit, which Minato had threw away the moment after the wedding was ended. And he gave her a rather large coupon for Ichiraku ramen, a roll that made her so happy as she had hugged him and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Since then, she hadn't seen him at all. This had been the first contact in a very long while. She didn't know why, but his absence in her daily life brought a pain in her chest. She believed that she had a connection with him, a connection she didn't know what exactly it was, but she had it with him more than any of her other friends, even more than her husband. She quickly stopped him before he could open the door and enter the main hallway where the other people were. Wait a minute. Let's talk. We haven't talked in a while. He tilted his head. Sure. What do you want to talk about? He asked. She knew the moment he went in there, they were going to bombard him with questions about him defying the Hokage, and some of them even feeling sorry for him for losing his ninja way. And she might not get to talk to him. Now, given the chance to do so, she didn't know what to say, as her tongue became dry. Her eyes looked around, as she tried to think about something. I had a girl night out some nights ago, she said. He looked at her. Okay. Her face twisted with anger, and her cheeks reddened. Uncle said that you broke her headboard. Almost knocked her unconscious. As Naruto faced palm, she swore that she wouldn't tell anyone. Well, said Kushina. It is what she was asking for. She said she wanted it rough, and I gave her it rough. Did you hear anything else? He asked. That you hooked up with Kurenai, and Shizune, and some girl from Komo, and another girl from the sand, and another girl from the stone. He raised his hand in surrender, as she became angry with each word. I'm an active person, you can't blame me. Besides, why are you so mad? You got Minato, don't you? She withdrew into herself as she calmed herself. I'm not mad. I'm only concerned with your health, she said. He looked at her. My health? Yes, you could really tire yourself out if you keep on going like that. And what if you get someone pregnant? What then, she said. In the first place, I don't go around humping everything that moves. She placed a hand over her mouth and giggled a bit. And anyway, whenever I do it, I'm very careful. I always have protection. If she doesn't want that, she must have some protection herself. Contraceptive seals were a common alternative right here. After all, him and Uncle has been together many times. So many times they had to outline whatever they did that day or night would not affect their friendship at all. They weren't an item because he did his thing and she did what she wanted. But when they were stationed together at the front post or when they were alone and they had the time, they went at it like rabbits. Such occasion was 4 days ago, with her head smashing against a headboard, breaking it, but she didn't seem to have noticed till sometime later. Kurenai was more passionate. She and Naruto didn't often spend the night together. Seeing that now she was with Asuma Sarutobi, but she treasured every night that they had together in her heart. Secretly, she really hoped that he was still single if things with her and Asuma didn't work out. Shizune, she was shy. She had approached him in the sand. She was Snaddy apprentice. He was her first, and from what she told Kushina, her only. She wanted to be in a relationship with him, but she didn't want to tie him down in Konoha while she was out with Snaddy on the road. But when she was in Fire Country, she would contact him, and he would find her. And she enjoyed listening to his stories, and especially enjoy hearing him laugh. The woman in their friend group could see that she was infatuated with him. And there was a lot more. Like in enemy nations, like in the Stone and Kumo. And as for his friend, he had seen Uchiha naked many times. Far too many times. But he never got the attraction from her. She was like a sister to him. Was. But despite all of that, he was still single. You're a real player, Blue, said Kushina. Minato was different. He wanted to get together after marriage. But she found out that he was very formal in bed. He wasn't as, over the top like Naruto was, that she heard. And when the deed was done, he was always too tired for them to cuddle. Not that it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. But the routine was getting rather boring. And she really didn't like how she was not feeling the connection with her own husband that she felt with Naruto. After all, that would sound rather strange for anyone to hear it. She didn't feel like a priority to Minato. She felt like a necessity. She felt like a trophy. She didn't think that it was, harmful for him to spare at least 30 minutes of his time for an uninterrupted date. She understood that the job of a Hokage was a busy one, but every day she would see him less and less, giving her time to think about things that she regret in their marriage. As it made her realize that the only real thing she had in common with him was their love for ramen. Even now he was not here, he was still in the office. As for Blue, he was her best friend younger brother, and they spoke of many things together, their dreams, their dislikes. Those talks took place when Mikoto wasn't present, but they were some of the best talk that she ever had in her life. Just talking to him, and him distancing himself from her, it was hurting her a lot. A whole lot. They knew what they were getting into, he said, speaking about the girls, as he yanked her back into reality. It's dangerous though, she said. I can handle myself, he said. She ground her heel a bit on the ground. Why don't you just stop having sex altogether until you find the right person, she said. He chuckled. We both know that's not gonna happen, he said. She reached as she started to pat him down. You have protection on you? She asked. She patted behind him, even though she knew that he didn't have any back pockets. She patted his chest even though he didn't have any pockets on his shirt. Yep, I have some. I want to blow off some steam, he said. Give them to me, she said. He tapped her on the nose, making her blush a bit. No, he said. Why not, she said. Because, Kushina. She never expected this. I want to stop being hung up on you. Her heart tightened hearing those words. I want to get over you, he said. Her hand tightened on his shirt. She was way too close to him. Way too close. Why? The words slipped out of her mouth. She pulled herself closer as her face pressed on his chest. Why do you have to get over me? Kushina, stay over tonight, she said. We don't have to do anything. Not if you don't want to. I've had months to think about this, Naruto. Calling him by his name instead of his nickname, she was serious. I know you don't like going for a married woman, and I respect that. But like I said, we don't have to do anything. Realization snapped into him as he grabbed her by her upper arms, as he asked her this once. Did you know I was classified as an A-class threat? Confusion set over her face. A what? You didn't know, he said. This is the first time in months I've seen or heard about you, Naruto. Of course I didn't know. What she did know was how Kakashi said that he had left the village with his nephew. And how Minato thought that he might pick a spot and start to pick them off from the distance. Kakashi did not tell her why Naruto would turn against them. But it was strange how his friends turned against him so quickly, as they assumed the worst. She had rushed to the office and told him not to brand him as a missing ninja. They didn't have any proof and they needed proof. And looking at him now, she knew that he would never do that. As she looked up at him, he would never do something like that. She wanted to just be in his embrace right now. But having him holding onto her arms like this, it gave her comfort, as her mind had been made up for a long time now. Her thoughts, the feelings that she has been feeling, knowing why she felt this way seeing that he wasn't here. She has gotten a lot of time to think, and main revelation has been first seen by her. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If it was the next part of the do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as I posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.